Hello, everyone. I hope the mic's working and everything's working well. My name is Samantha. Welcome to another live from Kyron Horman Case Revisited. And tonight's live is why did Harry Oakes insert himself and spread misinformation about Kyron Horman? And I'm going to introduce my moderator from our Facebook group, Kyron Horman Case Revisited, Discussions and Case Studies. Her name is Kaylia.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, super excited to do this live. Me and Kaylia has kind of been talking about this throughout the week. And I just think that it's really important to talk about this because there's a Facebook post, and that's what it kind of started with me. When I saw a Facebook post done by Harry Oakes, it's a public Facebook post, so everybody's seeing it, and it is just full, and I mean full of misinformation. So much misinformation, I've done nothing but think about it since. And I was going to do this live by myself, but I got a hold of Kaylia, and I knew she was having some problems discussing Harry Oakes with some other group, we'll just say creator. And she was just the perfect person to have on the show. Plus, I want her here anyway. So this is going to just be a great live. We're both super excited.
Yes, thank you again. Yes, I'm so excited. It's been a long time since this happened, so I'm glad to be able to finally get it off my chest.
Yeah, because that other show that they did on their YouTube or whatever was like 4 months ago or something like that.
Yeah, I believe that's about
And they
right.
just completely bash on you. So we're just gonna clear up a lot of that stuff later towards the end of the live. But right now we're gonna focus on the misinformation because it's about Kyron, and we can't have misinformation out there publicly being seen, in this case, because there's already so much misinformation. So I'm going to start with the Facebook post. And this, actually, I'm going to start with Harry Oakes' Facebook profiles because I noticed he has a lot. He has a lot of Facebook profiles, just like somebody else we know. Yeah, there's quite a few there. I mean, I'm not saying that this guy doesn't do his job. He has canines. He goes out there. He goes on searches. He has found missing people. I'm not saying that he hasn't. I am not trying, and neither is Kaylia. We are not trying to say that what he does, isn't legit. It's legit to an extent. Kaylia put it a very good way when she said, he goes and does this stuff, but then the information that he tells people about what he found is where it starts getting a little bit misconstrued. Isn't that what you were saying earlier?
Yes, exactly. I've seen him do plenty of searches. It's very obvious from his many Facebook profiles that he's out there searching. But yeah, it's the information afterwards, the changes in the information, the different variations over time. That's where you start to wonder why.
Yeah, because this guy is, a search and rescue person, and what really just got to me was just like he's doing the search and rescue services, canine services, and then you go and you put so much misinformation out about a missing child that it doesn't make sense to me, and it irritated me so much. Like, you're not supposed to do this. Out of everyone, you're not supposed to be doing this. So this is the Facebook post that he posted. I mean, I'm going to leave it up here. This is my proof. I'll play all of it. You can see it right there. It says International Canine Search and Rescue Services. This is Harry Oak's page. This was back in September 2016. I'm just going to read over, and because we have to break it down. I'm going to break it down into certain sections and start from the beginning and just go through this whole Facebook post. And I'm sorry, people, but it is literally like 5 screenshots long is what we had to take to get it all. So he says, before Terri took Kyron to school that week, the week Kyron disappeared, she never, ever talked to anyone, not the teachers, not the parents, or the kids. Yet a week before Kyron disappeared, Terri made it very clear to Kyron's teachers, other parents, who never even knew Terri, that Kyron had a doctor's appointment for his seizure disorder. Well, the first thing I want to clear up right away is that that's completely untrue. Terri knew the teachers. She actually was a volunteer up at the school. Terri talked to people up at the school. She was part of that community. A lot of the parents knew who Terri was because she came in and she volunteered at the school. I want to share my screen real quick and just show you guys something that I found on LinkedIn. This is Terri's LinkedIn from years back. I am seeking employment with elementary level grades, but while searching, I currently volunteer my reading specialist skills at Skyline Elementary in Portland Public School System. That's that. Like, that clears that up immediately. She was a volunteer up at Skyline Elementary. And yes, I am going to take her word for it in case anybody wants to argue with me on that, because there are a lot of us that know that, she volunteered up at the school. A lot of people that followed the case really know. I just want to make it clear to anybody else. And then the next thing I want to go over is the doctor's appointment for his seizure disorder. It was never said that Kyron had a seizure disorder. It was never documented. I believe, and it's my opinion, and I speculate with the fact that Terri Horman created this doctor's appointment that never existed, told the teacher it existed, and that is how Terri Horman was able to leave the school with Kyron. And, no phone call was ever made because, no phone call gets made from Mrs. Porter or from the school because they all think that Kyron is gone at a doctor's appointment. So I'm just going to read on. Kyron doesn't have seizure disorder, he said, nor did he have a doctor's appointment. This was a setup, premeditated, planning an excuse for his disappearance. And that is what I believe. I don't believe that to be misinformation. I mean, that's my opinion and his opinion. We've got Lacey Ireland. Mistakes are made by everybody. That doesn't mean you don't try again. That is not always 100%. Keep trying. Thank you, ladies, for keeping this rescue alive. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's what all we're trying to do is just get rid of some misinformation or clear it up. And we do that as much as we can. And it doesn't matter who it is. I don't care who the person is. If you're spreading misinformation and I find out about it, I'm going to say something. That's just what I'm going to do. Death by Chocolate. Thank you for being here. I love seeing you here. You show up for almost every single one of our lives. So the next thing I want to go over, let me put up Harry Oak's Facebook post again, since I took it off a minute ago, just so everybody sees that it's here. And, you know, because I don't want anybody to say, oh, that's not true, that Facebook post doesn't exist. We'll even put the link on our Facebook group if everybody wants to see it, just to clear that up. The photo, he goes on saying, Terri took of Kyron in the basement of the school in front of his science project. She claims it was taken the morning he disappeared. But if you look at the position of the shadows, it was taken the night before. Oops. I am sorry. Once again, I have to just say that is not true.
Yeah, that's been proven to be false. That was a rumor that was spread around, but that's been proven to be false.
Yeah, that was a huge rumor. And it just like, is he the one who started the rumor? This is how rumors get started, when someone posts misinformation. We all know Kyron's picture was taken in his homeroom classroom, and it was witnessed by, who was it witnessed by, Kaylia? Do you remember?
Yes, Gina Zimmerman, the PTA president, her daughter was there, and the book says Terri took a photo of her daughter as well, and another student. She also took a picture of the student.
And we all know the picture that, I think I loaded it up here. Or maybe I didn't. But I mean, it's the picture that everybody sees of him standing in front of his science fair project. So it's that picture, and it wasn't taken down in the basement. So, and it wasn't taken the night before early. I mean, it was taken early in the day. The day that Kyron came up missing that morning. It also goes on, Terri purchased 2 disposable cellular phones for her and Dede Spicher to talk on. Knowing police couldn't ping or trace them, Terri was smart enough to know that she would be a suspect. She knew police would ping her regular phone. Well, the thing with this is, first of all, the ping on her phone happened on her cell phone and not a burner phone, for one. And now I'll share my screen. I've got a little clip from, it's a news clip that talks about who purchased the phones. We did have it. Oh. Can you see that up there on my Facebook, Kaylia?
No, only see the post.
Yeah, it's not allowing me to share this from my Facebook. I wonder if I put it up there, if you guys can at least hear it. Well, that's okay. We don't need it. I mean, we all have seen, it's been talking about like so many times, that Dede purchased a cell phone, that one of Terri Horman's friends purchased a cell phone. They were purchased in downtown Portland, Oregon, with cash and with fake names. It wasn't Terri. And then it goes on. And since I'm going to be going over to the other page, I'll just push play real quick and get you guys going on the other page. And this page talks about Terri's red Mustang. Terri's red Mustang was seen all over Sauvie Island. Later that day, the ping proves her phone was in the car as well. It doesn't prove Terri was driving the car. Dede Spicher, Terri's girlfriend, is a redhead too. Both look a lot alike, with Dede's initials refusal to talk to police, failing the polygraph. This shows me she's involved a lot more then she owns up to. Was she the one driving Terri's car while Terri was disposing of Kyron? Well, I just have to say, when I've been in all of these Facebook groups and I have spoken with other people, and we sit and we speculate and we go over things and we theorize and everything. One of the things that were talked about several times, because it was seen, was that Terri's red Mustang was seen all over Sauvie Island. Well, I didn't know that that came from Harry Oakes, and I have talked about it a lot because I've been trying to find it, and then I saw it in here and I'm like, oh my God, this is where it came from. So it was kind of like, I don't know. Is it true? Is it not true? And since he's saying so much misinformation, I don't even know that I can say that it was true, especially for that day when we know pretty much that she was driving around in the truck all day.
And Kane took Terri's car to work, so it would be impossible for Dede to be driving it all over Sauvie's Island the day Kyron disappeared.
Very good point right there, too. I forgot all about that for a moment. But yeah, Kane had it at work, and they have video footage of Kane being at work all day long. So I'm sure they knew that the Mustang was there. And then he goes on to call them lovers, which a lot of people also talk about. I mean, Desiree is one of the people that talk about them being lovers. Stacy Green from World Soldiers says they're lovers. I've never found any verifiable information to say they're lovers. I'm not going to say that it's not true or that it is, because I don't know.
Right. That information has never been confirmed nor denied, other than by Terri and Dede themselves. Dede did say.
Oh, go ahead.
She did say they asked about her sexuality, which makes me believe there was some evidence of a sexual relationship, but I don't know. I have never seen it with my own eyes. I can only speculate.
Yeah, and then, I mean, you have the sexting that was going on after Kyron came up missing, that Terri was, sexting Michael Cook back and forth. And that was during the time that Dede was there at the house for 11 days after Kyron left with the baby. And, they're sitting around in their tank tops and underwear. That was spoken about in those text messages. And, I mean, they were kind of almost throwing a slumber party together. So who knows? I haven't seen everything that was in those sexting. I don't know that it's ever mentioned that she's in any of them. Have you ever gone through all of them?
Gone through all the questions, or what was the question?
The sexting.
I've honestly, it cringes me out. I don't feel the need to go through all of it, but I do know that the police, that Kane's attorney under oath said that the police told Kane's attorney, not Kane, but Kane's attorney, that there were similar sexual text messages between Terri and the landscaper. So the speculation is that she used sexual texts and texting and all that to gain that intimate relationship with people to take advantage of them. That's the theory out there.
Right. Yeah, and I've heard that too, but I'm wondering if Dede was ever involved in those sexting to Michael Cook. I don't know if she was or not, but I just know she's there with Terri and they're both sitting in their underwear. So who knows about this, Dede and Terri being girlfriends. But Harry Oakes also says, throughout the Horman case, all of the family members have refused my help. This tells me they are hiding something and don't want me to find it. I don't know much about that. I know that I thought I'd heard at one point in time that Dede and her sister wanted Harry Oakes to look at the property, but he was told no by Kane, but I don't have verifiable information on that. But we're going to discuss him wanting to search Kane's property and what Kane said a little bit later in the live. We're just going to finish up with the letter. Then let's see. He goes on to say about his reputation and everything else. I don't want to go through that because it's just a lot of paragraphs. He is really known. A lot of people use him. I will say that. And he has found a lot of, bodies. I'm not going to deny it. I'm not reading it because it's just not important enough to mention right now because I just want to go over the misinformation here. And then I'll bring you guys up to date on this here. And then we'll change it. And then it says, anyway, when we finally entered the private search for Kyron, our private teams located the following. This, after the SAR dog teams and ground teams failed to find anything, which I don't know that they did or didn't find anything. I know there were a lot of SAR dogs up there and that Kane's property, he's even said himself, got searched a lot. He even says like more than the school. He says a large cooler with duct tape on it, large enough to fit Kyron's remains, hair fibers found inside similar to size and length and color of Kyron's. And I'm just going to read a little bit more. Child reading glasses, same size, color, and make as Kyron's. Now, again, I'm going to go back to all of the Facebook groups and places where I've been talking to these women about the cooler that was found with the duct tape or the child's glasses that were found. I had no clue when I was talking about it back then a couple years ago that this information came from Harry Oakes. So I'm like going crazy on the internet, trying to find some cooler with duct tape, trying to find, because if these things were found, why in the hell weren't they ever shared? Why was...
Harry Oakes has been asked to prove these claims that show us a picture, and he's always said, I'll look for it and find it, but has never provided it. Excuse me. And he even said in his book, what did he say? I can't quite remember. I lost my train of thought. But if it comes back to me,
no problem. Yeah. I mean, there's never been any pictures of this cooler and duct tape ever shown. Nothing on the child reading glasses. There's never been anything in the news saying, hey, during a search, so-and-so found, or this was found. And I mean, they go on out and the news has been following a lot of these searches. I really think something would have came up by now that they found Kyron Horman's glasses. And I
do remember what I was going to say now. When he's been asked about providing proof or photos, he always says, I have it somewhere, but I'll find it, and then just ghosts you, never comes back to show you. I've seen several comments from other members of other groups for Kyron that have said the same thing, that they've asked and he's never provided proof. And lastly, he makes this claim constantly that he is super organized and his files are very, very tight. So why can't he provide these photos?
Yeah. Why hasn't law enforcement talked about it or the news talked about it? Because if he's turned in these photos, I mean, maybe, well, just maybe, law enforcement has pictures of something that may have been found and they're not sharing it. I'm not saying it's not possible, but with the news coverage and the way they followed all of the searches, I feel, in my opinion, that it would have been leaked in some way, shape, or form, especially something as important as his glasses. That's huge.
And a cooler. I mean, both of those. Those are like, I mean, in my opinion, crime scene confirming photos, proof of life or not type evidence. I don't know. It's bizarre that if true, that's never ever been talked about.
Exactly. And so he goes on. Death alerts by 3 of our trained and certified search dogs coming from Kane's property. Kane refuses to this day to allow me on his property with our SAR dogs. Remember, SAR dogs don't know how to lie. We also located a cult worshiping, devil worshiping pentagram just below the house in a field. And what all I have to say about the alerts and everything else, I don't think any of the other SAR dogs from that was sent out by law enforcement ever alerted on anything. And I don't know that his dogs did or not. And we're going to go over again, like he's saying, Kane refuses to this day to allow him to go onto the property. We are going to discuss that shortly. And I don't know about anything do you know anything about the devil worshiping stuff or anything? Or are these just things that he's saying? Do you know anything about?
I never looked too deep to find proof of the cult worshiping thing. I did try to find out if Kane and Desiree refused, like he says. He likes to dramatically use the word refuse when the real truth is not respond. They never said no. They never denied him. They just never responded. I found this in old posts of his from back in 2010.
Yeah, he goes on to say, a volunteer from our search group took a photo of where all 3 of our SAR dogs were staring into the woods and took a digital photo. Later, she sent it to me. You can see a child's spirit staring back at us. The dogs could see it, but we couldn't. That was interesting from a scientific standpoint. I'm not going to say that spirits don't exist, but for him to be publicly posting about a spirit in a Facebook post when he's talking about going out there and doing these searches or whatever, it just seems kind of strange to me. I'm just going to admit that. It just seems kind of odd and strange that he would be mentioning this in this post. A year after Kyron disappeared, I found what appeared to be a child's bone that would be the same size and age of Kyron, 12 miles west of Skyline School, where Kyron disappeared. An ER doctor verified that it was human by inspecting it. We could see a bird of prey strip the bone of the tissue and tendons, etc. It had break parks, not bite. Yeah, beak bites. And no marks from coyotes, etc. This was turned into the state medical examiner's office. Nothing more has been said about that. And I think that this entire paragraph is ridiculous. First off, I'm just going to say, you find a bone, and the first thing you do is you get a hold of law enforcement, especially if you think it's a child's bone, especially if you think that it's Kyron's little bone. You're going to get a hold of law enforcement. You can't pick it up. You can't take it away, because if you do, then this crime scene has been tainted. And if you're a real good canine, search and rescue person, you're going to know that. You're not going to take a bone that you think is a child's to an ER doctor to get it examined. It's going to go to law enforcement. Well, actually, it's not going to go to law enforcement. You're going to get a hold of law enforcement. Law enforcement's going to come out. They're going to do everything that they need to do to make sure that, everything is done correctly, because there's logistics. I mean, you have certain things that you have to do. You have to start, the little yellow flags that they stick down in the ground. If you're watching crime shows, you know what I'm talking about. They're going in the ground. They're marking the spot where it was. They're going to start a little grid away from that bone that is found, and that's the way things are going to get done. They are not going to be sent to an ER doctor to get looked at. And then it's, what does it say? This was turned into the state medical examiner's office. By who? By him? By law enforcement? Was law enforcement involved? It's just a crazy thing to say altogether, in my opinion. It's just not something regular that you would do, find a bone and then take it to an ER doctor. I mean, what does anybody else think about this? Because I sit here and I read it and I'm just really going, duh, of course you're not. Like, it only makes sense, right? We got Kaylia thanking everybody here on the show. Death by chocolate. Wow, this is highly unusual. I don't believe much of that he's saying. Exactly. I mean, I go through this Facebook post, like I said, it's 5 pages long, and I was just blown away. And you know what? I will backtrack just a little bit because I think it's very funny. Like, I wasn't going to read it, but I'm going to read a little bit of it because I want you guys to see, like, this guy's kind of got an ego too. He has to boost himself up in this. On the second page, my reputation. Yes, it's widely known that law enforcement and I have issues. No big secret. I've embarrassed them many times when they went public and said there is no one on the property. Yet I've gone in and publicly said, BS, here is where they are. Ward Weaver case, which we are going to go over in a little while. I was 100% accurate in my findings, and it left LE with egg on their face. And then he goes in to talk about another case that he did. And I mean, just because he has to talk about himself. And, you know, Kaylee, is there anything that you want to add to this whole like ER thing before I go forward?
The only thing I'd like to add is I did look into that a little bit more, and I think he said something like they never identified that person or something, or it was a Jane Doe or something like that. I could never find anything about this, and this stuff is public record. Unless there's an active investigation or crime, we can access it. If it's a Jane Doe, we would know through the NAM US system. It's not listed there, so
yeah, it's just really crazy. You just don't pick up a bone and take it to an ER doctor. You just don't pick up a bone. Why isn't he talking about how he got a hold of law enforcement? Law enforcement came out. We, taped off the area. We turned it into a crime scene, yada, yada, yada. Like, because that's what you do when you think you found a bone, a human bone, and especially a little boy's bone, if that's what you're out there searching for.
We got a comment here about the echo, Sam, and I think it might be my voice coming through your speakers.
Yeah, maybe when you're talking, we're echoing. How bad is it, people? Is it super bad?
Yeah, let us know how bad it is. I got headphones on. I can hear myself echo, though. I can hear myself coming through your mic.
Okay, they're saying it's bad. Okay, so we'll just make sure when we're going back and forth that I've got myself pulled up right here, and so I'll mute myself when I know that you're talking.
Perfect.
No, Gina, thank you so much for letting us know. Like, I need to know that so that when people come back and watch the live, that they are hearing it. Were you even able to understand what we're going through? Is something else I'd like to know? So to move on, Dede Spicher finally turned state's evidence against Terri with a signed agreement she would not be prosecuted. she admitted Kyron was killed and that Terri did it. She claims Terri buried or dumped Kyron's remains in Forest Park. That's why Kyron's real mother has been concentrating her private searches there. Dede still refuses to this day to allow me on her property as well with our search dogs. Remember, she's in landscaping business and has all the tools to bury or dismember a child. She also failed the polygraph numerous times, as did Terri. Well, let's go over the first part where he talks about, it's been said that Dede has immunity. Now, I know she has said on Blink on Crime that she has immunity. That's where I have heard it. I've also heard from Dede on Blink on Crime say during that interview that she took a polygraph and she failed. But I've also heard Desiree say that she never took a polygraph. And yeah, I mean, I don't think that Dede has ever came forward and said that Terri killed Kyron. Came straight out and said it. I've never heard that. Have you, Kalia?
No, I've only actually heard the opposite. She's made it abundantly clear in the interviews she has done that she believes Terri is incapable of doing something like this.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I've always heard. And I mean, I know this whole immunity thing has gotten really confusing. There's been times that it's been said that she didn't have immunity, does have immunity. Why does she have immunity? A lot of people have talked about the fact that she was committing unemployment fraud because she was working for West Wind Farms while she was on unemployment. She was getting paid by Miss Hawkins Smith to work there on the farm. And in order for her to come clean with all of that during, let's see, the lawsuit part, I believe, that Desiree did when she pled the fifth on a lot of stuff. That's where all of this came into play. And that's what I know. I've never heard anything different except for it's this unemployment thing. But I've also heard she doesn't have immunity at all. And if she did have immunity, then why isn't she talking? Why isn't she saying everything that she has said that would, put this case out there, the DA take over, and this just, go to court and someone get prosecuted? What do you got to say about it, Kaylee?
I am with you on that. I'm 50-50 on how I feel about if she has immunity and if so, what it is about. I've never seen it other than the same places you've mentioned. I do wonder, though, if she was offered immunity, I mean, there has to be a reason, right? You can't just offer immunity to nobody. And would an attorney even tell you to say yes to that? I don't know. Like if she was guilty or innocent, I mean, if she was innocent, why would she have accepted an immunity deal for anything? Why would her attorney have even let her?
Yeah, I mean that also is something that I've thought about too. Like, why would you take immunity if you didn't do anything? And I mean, would you really take immunity just because you have committed unemployment fraud? I mean, but I have heard like unemployment fraud is like huge, and you can actually go to jail or prison or whatever for quite a long time. So I mean, if you're really trying to avoid those things, then yeah, maybe you might take immunity on it. But her whole immunity thing has always confused me. It's just, I go back and forth about it with one of our members in our group because me and her are always talking about it because it just doesn't make sense. And the way that nobody really comes out into the open and discusses or just says, like, this is why Dede Spicher has immunity. But then to go on with the letter, let me see if there's anything else in this. Yeah, Terri buried or dumped Kyron's remains in Forest Park, and that's why Kyron's real mother has been concentrating her private searches there. Well, Desiree has been doing her searches everywhere, not just Forest Park. Matter of fact, the 100 acres that I believe she's talking about ain't even in Forest Park. It's more west of Skyline School, and Forest Park's actually more east. So I kind of like disagree with that, but that's my opinion. And yeah, the fact that he goes on and says that she failed the polygraph numerous times. No, she didn't. If so, Desiree says she's never taken a polygraph. She has never been forthcoming. She's never, communicated with law enforcement about anything that has happened. She's been totally uncooperative. You have anything to say about that?
I don't know one way or the other either. I do tend to believe the parents of the missing child when there's a lack of verifiable information. But I don't know. I can't speculate. I can only speculate.
Yeah, and it's mentioned in the book that Desiree never took a polygraph and that she never cooperated with law enforcement. And that's why my opinion is what it is. Like, I don't believe she's ever taken a polygraph. So it goes on to say, Kane has collected well over $83,000 in donations in the search for Kyron. It's been brought to my attention that he has only donated about $4,000 to Multnomah Sheriff's Office and kept the other $79,000. I don't know if this is true or not, he even admits. I've been now told it's a much larger sum of money that he's kept for himself. He immediately got 2 dogs and security cameras on his property after we posted our findings of death alerts coming from his property, and we are told in no uncertain terms to stay away from his property. I'm just going to stop right there because I just don't believe that cameras and lights and everything got put up on his property because of Harry Oakes. That's probably because we know Terri tried to kidnap the baby from the gym. And that's probably why he decided to put cameras up on his property, because he was worried about Terri coming back to the house. Or how about the fact that his son just came up missing and, he's going to take more, he's going to be more alerted. His son is gone. He doesn't know where he is. He doesn't know who took him. He thinks that it could be Terri. So, I mean, like, you're going to do the things that you have to do to protect your home. Since we're having mic problems, I'm just going to keep asking you. Have anything to add to that, Kaylee?
I just am in total agreement that, yeah, he can't. It's an ego thing to believe that it's your doing and not the fact that his son is missing. He had to learn that his wife allegedly tried to hire somebody to murder him, and then she allegedly tried to kidnap the baby. So for him to think it's him and his actions is very egotistical, in my opinion.
Yeah, and then he goes on to say Terri was caught sexting to one of her many boyfriends shortly after Kyron disappeared. So this is all the information I can relay to the public at this time. Do I know Kyron's dead? Not 100%, because no one from the family has given us a cent item to use to search for Kyron. But the fact that Kyron disappeared, 3 of our SARS dog are alerting on Kane's property on a dead. He immediately got 2 dogs and security. Oh, yeah, this just goes over that's all the information that he has on that particular post. So yeah, I thought going over this post was just really important because it's a bunch of misinformation, and I don't believe that I just don't believe that all of that needs to be out there in the public. I think that it's wrong to have so much misinformation, especially from a guy. you know, a lot of people respect this guy. A lot of people think that he's great. And, you know, I'm not saying he's not a great person, a mean person, or whatever. I'm just saying that there's some misinformation here. And I wanted to just clear up that particular Facebook post. We have some other things to go over, and one of them is the property that he talks about. He talks about Kane's property and not being allowed up there. Let's see, we have, personally, this guy is a turnoff for me. From first viewing and listening to him, he's out to try, and I mean try to make a name for himself. Yes, that's how I feel too, Gina. I mean, locally, he doesn't have like the best reputation, is all I'm gonna say. He just doesn't. This I'm adding to the stage now is another post, and now we're gonna go into things that he said about Kane's property and such. So let's do this. He says, before you point fingers, and I believe he's talking to Desiree at MCSO, maybe you ought to explain why you refused personal free help with a long history of success at finding missing children. Shame on you. Politics aside, ask Ashley Pond and Miranda Gaddis, mother who found their daughters with our search dogs on March 20th, 2002, and explain why Kane refuses to allow us to search his property, especially since all three of our dogs alerted on the boundary on scent coming from his property that there were death scents. And in another post, which is this one, now that that's up, it says, the news announced tonight that Desiree Young, Kyron's birth mother, is going to launch her own private search using volunteer search dogs to search specific areas to try to recover Kyron's remains. This means that Desiree has met with the sheriff's office and or DA's office and probably received new information based on the recent grand jury testimony of Dede Spicher's testimony against her partner, Terri Horman, Kyron's stepmother. This also means that Desiree now acknowledges that Kyron is dead, something we've been telling everyone from our first day of searching for Kyron when our SAR dogs indicated death alerts on scent of a dead human remains coming from the Horman property. Even though Kane Horman has repeatedly refused to allow our search dogs to search his property, we were able to get close enough to the property boundary downwind, and all three of our search dogs indicated death alerts on a dead human scent. So to all of you that gave me crap about going public that Kyron was murdered and his scent was coming from the Horman's property, GFY. It will be interesting to see if Desiree finds anything. I hope she does, so she can have closure and those involved in Kyron's murder can be brought to justice. You know, we don't know if Kyron's dead or alive. He doesn't know that Desiree is looking for a dead Kyron. Desiree's I think, gone back and forth on this because we all know in the book she talks about how she feels like Kyron came to her and let her know that he was okay, mama, and that he was kind of with God or whatever. And then later on, you know, she has a little bit more hope. And she wants to believe that her son is alive. And like we said in our last live the other night, like, it's really hard to be out there and searching these areas, especially when you're in the thick wooded areas, to believe that your child is alive or that you're going to find an alive child out there. Hello, the searches are done months after, years later, years and years later. So it doesn't make sense to really think, oh, we're out here in the middle of the woods and we're going to find an alive Kyron. I mean, that's got to be going through her head every time she's out there. And I feel awful for her. I could not even imagine having that feeling in the pit of my stomach, like I could actually find my son out here and I'm really going to know that he's gone. I mean, how awful is that? It's just crazy. I'm going to mute myself for a minute and let Kaylia speak.
I know I was echoing earlier, but I just want to point out that, and again in this post, he says that even though Kyron Horman has repeatedly refused to allow our search dogs to search his property, he says refused. The truth is, Kyron Horman and Desiree Young never replied. They never refused. They weren't saying absolutely not to him. They just didn't reply. Just like many of us might have messages sitting in our other inbox that we don't even know about, right? They never replied. But regardless, another point here is the boundary thing. He says here that where does it say? Even though we were able to get close enough to the property boundary downwind, and all 3 of our search dogs indicated death alerts on a dead human scent. This is a very harsh post to be posting about to the parents of missing children. It's, in my opinion, and again, I hold my own opinions here, and when I speak, I'm speaking for myself. He sounds very salty that he wasn't invited, that his ego wasn't stroked to be invited to a search for Kyron Horman, and he's salty about it, and he's saying these unverified claims, which will go on and show you later. He has changed this story. He says he was at the property boundary, and later we have posts of him saying that he was on the public road. And if you have seen any other of Samantha's videos, you can see how rurally, that's a hard word to say, rurally that Kyron lives. And how did he search the boundary without trespassing or getting all of the neighbors' permission? So suspicious, in my opinion.
Yeah, it is kind of salty, like you're saying. And that's what I was talking about earlier when I mentioned like his ego. He's upset that he didn't get invited back. I have a clip here that I want to play. And it is Kyron and Desiree on the Dr. Phil show.
Recently, it's there.
Yeah, anytime. Kyron says anytime law enforcement wants to come, he just doesn't want any private searches. And I can't blame him. Mistakes can be made, something can happen, and then the information that someone privately finds may not be able to be used in court. And I cannot in any way, shape, or form blame him for feeling this way. But he is saying, if you want to come, come. My invitation is always open. So I hear so much. Why didn't he let Harry Oakes come? Well, this is the why he didn't let Harry Oakes. This is why he hasn't allowed some of the other private searchers that Desiree uses in some of her searches to come out to his property. They're not law enforcement or FBI. They're just not affiliated with it. And he's afraid it can hinder something in this case.
I'd like to add one thing. Harry Oakes you can ask him yourself. He is not certified. His dogs are not certified. And Kyron made it very clear. He said it himself. He wants certified search and rescue dogs on his property. Certified that work with the sheriff office and the law investigators. I can't blame him. Like you said, Sam, I think I might feel the same way.
Yeah, and Gina, she's saying exactly because, and I did not know that about Harry Oaks. I didn't know that he wasn't. So, I mean, yeah, I would never have somebody out on my property that wasn't licensed to do his job to be out there, searching my property, especially in such an important case. It just doesn't even make sense. And the next thing we're going to go over, Kaylee is going to go over it actually, is this very, very awkward and strange letter that Harry Oaks posted on his Facebook. And this letter is written to Kyron Horman. Like, first of all, I want to get everybody's opinion on this, talk this just for a minute. Is it just me, or is it just absolutely strange, Kalia, that somebody wants to write publicly a letter to Kyron Horman on, I mean, he's a search and rescue guy. Why is he wanting to write a letter to Kyron?
Yeah, it is suspicious. I mean, maybe not suspicious, but strange behavior. And again, like I said, it's not nice. It's not a nice letter. So I don't know why he felt the need to do that.
Yeah, we're about to go over that. Let me find it real quick. I'm going to post it up here. A letter to Kyron. Like, how weird is that? It's just weird to me. You're a search and rescue guy, canine. I mean, like, I know we do like candles and we do like prayers. I know that there's actually a Facebook group like Letters to Kyron or something like that. I don't know why it bothers me so much that he's doing it, but it does. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it won't bother anybody else. But after I looked at it, I was just, oh my God, are you serious? So I'm going to mute myself and I'm going to add this on here. And, we put this stuff up here on the screen to show that we have the letter that he wrote. And so that everyone that is watching the show knows that this is being verified. And it's not something that we are creating. I just want to point that out. Again, what we found on his Facebook page that we went over in the beginning, and this letter will be posted on our group, Kyron Horman Case Revisited Discussions and Case Studies. If anybody wants to go over there, join, read. If you've already joined, come on over. Wow, how insensitive and inappropriate. Yeah, exactly, Death by Chocolate. It's weird and inappropriate. It just is. So I'm going to mute myself and you go ahead and go over the letter, Kalia.
All right. The letter is dated Wednesday, October 6, 2010. It is titled, "Goodbye, Little Kyron. I'm done with this search." Dear Kyron, you don't know me, but let me introduce myself to you. My name is Harry Oaks. I'm a private search and rescue coordinator and dog handler who has volunteered his time to try to bring you home to your family. Why am I writing you this letter? So I can put some kind of closure on one of the most messed up SAR cases I've ever been involved with in the last 38 years. Kyron, when a person, child or adult, goes missing, it's law enforcement's sworn duty to do everything they can within their legal power to determine what happened to that missing person. Did the victim walk away on his own or his or her own, walk away on his or her own power? Were they kidnapped? Are they dead or alive? We try to determine the facts: who, what, when, why, and where, and how, and find the evidence to support our findings to bring closure on each person's case. Before I go further, let me tell you about my background. And again, he goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 paragraphs all about himself, all about the same spiel we see every single time about himself. Oh, and this date I did this, and this date I did this. It's the same spiel he says every single time. So let me skip that part and go to the remainder. So when you came up missing and I heard about it on the news and through the over 1,300 emails and the general public asking for my help on your case, my heart sank. Being a father and a grandfather, my heart went out to you and your family, as I know exactly what they are going through. Having gone through this myself in each and every search I coordinated for the families of the missing victims over the years, and as a father when my own son was missing for 30 days down in Mexico, I understand the pain of not knowing if my loved one is dead or not, if they are suffering, etc. In your case, I waited for over a month and watched the MCSO and the FBI try to bring resolve to your case, and it didn't happen, with everyone screaming at me because of my experience to get involved and try to find you. After 30 days of watching from afar, I finally said, okay, I'll do my best. Normally, what happens when a child is missing and I'm asked to get involved privately, the victim's family signs a contract for services agreement. And as we are a for-profit business that specializes in finding the missing, then I interview the family and friends, build up a missing persons profile, and I obtain a scent article. I often do the search whether they can afford my fees or not. In this case, your family, nor has the sheriff's office paid me a single penny to try to find you. I go to the point last seen, introduce the victim's scent to my search dogs and my search dog teams, and then the search dogs show me what really happened to the missing person, which way they walked, if they were okay or upset, and if they were killed, where that happened. And at times we've identified who the victim was killed by with the transfer of the victim's scent onto the suspect involved. This is held up in a courtroom and is 100% admissible. Unfortunately, in your case, MSCO and your family refused to cooperate with our private search efforts. Your family refused to return the many email requests and telephone requests from various people trying to get me something that had your scent on it so I could do the best job I could to find you or find out what really happened to you and who was involved in your disappearance. So instead of giving up, I worked a different search method. This method takes a lot longer and is far less accurate in finding the missing. I usually only reserve this search method when I am working disasters where I don't have time to obtain a scent. But when I'm looking for one specific scent of a person, I have less than a 3% chance of success. So after working over 240 hours on your case, donating my own time, my own money, my own search efforts to find you, only to get bad mouthed by many folks for trying to find you, I've decided I can't do this anymore. Remember, I do this for a living, and some folks just don't understand. I ended up donating over $44,000 of my services after 4 months of searching for you, and your family and MCSO still refusing to help me find you. I'm saying goodbye. I gave it my best shot, being hindered the whole way by stupidity, politics, and egos. And we're almost to the end, guys. I never once saw the people who were bad-mouthing me trying to find you. I never saw them standing by my side, searching for you or taking over 240 hours off of their own paid jobs with no pay to try to find you. But I was there along with some very wonderful volunteers, mothers and fathers, fellow search dog handlers, and their dogs, all trying to bring you home. The one person with the reputation, skills, documentation of 25 years of success, the one person that had the best chance of finding you, or at least finding out what really happened to you, has reached an impasse. That one person is I. Kyron, it is with a very heavy heart that I say, I'm sorry. I've done everything within my power and resources to find you, but because your family and MCSO, Kyron, they won't help me help them find you. And because of that, I'm done. I have to get back to my paid work and the many other cases I have been asked to be a part of for families who truly want some honest answers and closure in their loved one cases. Maybe someday down the road, someone will pull their head out of their asses and give me the proper tools to do my job to bring closure to your case. Until then, I pray that God's angels watch over you. Goodbye, little Kyron. Respectfully, Harry Oakes.
Damn. I just can't believe it. Like, I read it earlier, but then when you were narrating it, I'm just like listening to it, and I'm just like shocked with so much of the letter. I think that the way he, you know, it's a child's letter, and I think some of it was just like inappropriate to be saying to a child. And then some of it, I'm just like wowed with the ego, with the fact that it literally sounds like, hey, if they would have let me done it, I would have found you. This case would be over type thing. I mean, in my opinion, that's kind of what he's saying. Like, oh my gosh, is the ego on this guy is just absolutely insane. And it's just so strange and unusual that he even wrote the letter to begin with. What are your comments on the letter, Kaylia?
I think that he was, like I said, he was very upset that he wasn't the one invited to partake in this search, and he is salty about it. And like Death by Chocolate wrote here, this is all about him and deflects from finding Kyron. I'd be furious. I agree. Can you imagine being Kyron's parents and then seeing this letter and then thinking, like, I just don't see how Harry Oakes thought that would win him into, I don't know. I don't know if he even wanted to at that point, but I would be furious as well. And I think it was very unprofessional, showed how upset he was and where his intentions lied, because it was all about him. It wasn't about Kyron.
Yeah, Death by Chocolate says right here, this is so unprofessional and mean-spirited. And it is. I mean, the whole letter, like, the nerve of him to even write it. And like you were saying, like, for his parents, if they have seen it or whatever, no, it's just gross and disgusting. You don't do that. Gina, she's saying, let's just give ourselves a pat on the back tenfold. Wow, this guy really needs to be pumped. He's angry and so unprofessional. And she's agreeing with what we're saying, right? And yeah, I mean, you know, there were some issues with Harry Oakes mentioned before. I have heard it. Kaylia has had some issues with the other women in the other group and the other creators and stuff. And, you know, let's just talk about that. You know, they're all, oh, yay, go Harry Oakes. He's great. He's the best canine guy in the world, she says over and over and over again in one of her lives. And I don't know. Is it that they don't know that he thinks that Terri and Dede had something to do with Kyron's disappearance? Because, I mean, they're all for Terri. They all want to go off on this whole thing, like trying to prove that Terri is innocent and had nothing to do with it. We don't know if she's innocent and we don't know if she's guilty. But, you know, they have their Facebook group. We have ours. We all have our own opinions. That's whatever. But I'm just saying, for them to use him, have them on his show and everything else, why are they leaving out the fact that Harry Oakes believes that Terri killed Kyron? Dede said it. And, you know, his body's somewhere in Forest Park. You got anything to say?
I'll just agree with you on that. I don't understand. I do think that I've shared this with you. In doing research for the news clip series that we're working on and trying to find those old news clips, I came across a recent live stream or a recent video where a creator, completely unrelated to anybody that we all know as far as like a Kyron advocate. This person made a video about the weird connection between Kyron Horman and Ward Weaver's case. That's how misinformation and rumors just grow. They're not fact checking. They're not digging to the very bottom. They're just taking this guy's word for it, I believe. And I mean, unless they can say otherwise, unless they can say, yeah, we verified that I don't know. I think that they didn't fact check and they just wanted to have clout, and they took his word for it without looking, because I looked, and I mean, obviously this is all right here. It wasn't hard for me to find.
Yeah, Death by Chocolate. Yeah, his heart is in the wrong place if he has one. Yeah, I just don't know what to think about it. It's just all really strange. Death by Chocolate, you both do such a great job advocating for Kyron. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that. I'm going to have to get me some headphones so that while we're talking, Kaylee and I can both be thanking you at the same time. But right now we're having a little bit of technical difficulties, so we're just kind of going back and forth. But my opinion on it is, they are not bringing this kind of information from Harry Oaks forward because it would completely ruin their narrative and their agenda, which is proving Terri Horman innocent or finding information that proves her innocent. I mean, or maybe they don't even know about this information, which I find that very hard to believe because I have discussed with these women the cooler with the duct tape. At least I have with a couple of them. I have talked to them about the glasses, and I have talked about that red Mustang in groups and been corrected by these women. No, her Mustang was never seen over there, blah, 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 blah. Or was it seen over there, blah, 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 because everybody's throwing out their theories and they're speculating in these discussion groups. And that's what discussion groups are for. I'm not going to argue with that, but I'm just saying I doubt it very seriously that they don't know about this post. I believe, in my opinion, that they knew about it. They knew this information and they tried to find out about it, but there was never anything that came of Kyron's glasses. There was never anything that I've ever seen or verified about a cooler with duct tape. I mean, a lot of that Facebook post was just lies. And he's entitled to his own opinion about how he feels, Harry Oaks, about, whether Kyron was killed by Terri or Dede or both, or they had anything to do with it. But I just wanted to go over that misinformation. I am going to play a little bit of a clip here because this is something else we wanted to go over. We're already talking about them, the other creators, the other group. And there was a very bad live, I think. I'm going to show this clip because Kaylee needs to be able to defend herself against things that are going on social media.
This is his number one stalker, and he knows this person. She goes on all of his pages. So this is his number one stalker, and he knows this person. She goes on all of his pages.
She goes on and on and on. She's very rude and ruthless. We don't expect anything less of her these days. But that is her attacking Kaylee, saying that she has been stalking Harry Oaks, and that's just not the case. Kaylee, I'm going to let you defend yourself.
Thank you. So how this all started was I was in that other group, and I was theorizing things over there. There was never a point where I ever was rude or bullied or harassed anybody, but I saw them bring up Harry Oaks. I had a friend that went missing. Unfortunately, he's passed on now. But he went missing last November 2022. And when he went missing, everybody was suggesting, can you get a drone search? Can you get this kind of search? And I saw one person mention you should reach out to Harry Oaks. But underneath that comment, I saw 10 comments from other people saying, no, stay far away from Harry Oaks. That was the very first time I've even heard this person's name. So this was just November, December 2022. I didn't look him up. I just read that comment and then went on with my life. But a few months later, I am in this other Facebook group for Kyron. And I see a post for Harry talking about Harry Oaks. So I just mentioned that this same experience. I typed this out, what I just said, that in, locally, he has a little bit of a reputation. I saw people saying, don't use him because of this reputation, which he won't deny. If you were to ask him, he totally acknowledges that he has this reputation. So they had done an interview with Harry Oaks, and I just started listening to it, and I started saying, well, this guy is not, what he's saying is not true. I'm fact checking what he's saying, and what he's saying is not what is recorded on internet history or court records or anything. I couldn't verify anything, and I was posting these news articles just saying, again, I was not being rude. I was not calling Harry Oaks any names. I wasn't being a bully. I was only posting proof that what this guy says to you is not what is true when you Google the outcome of these cases. Well, banned. I got the ban hammer. They banned me right away. Okay. I reach out to Harry Oaks and I let him know. I can even read you the message. But essentially it said something like, I apologize if that came off as an attack towards you or your character. That's not what it was intended for. I was in a discussion because they were, just like he's done in these posts we've shown, they were using the fact that Kane didn't hire him as suspicious towards Kane. And I thought that was disrespectful. I was trying to defend Kane by saying this guy, why, Kane doesn't want to hire this guy because, look, we can find this information on the internet. Well, after that, Harry Oaks, I guess, after I got banned from the group, I still was subscribed to the YouTube channel, so I watched a live, and they made a mention about Harry Oaks on the live, and I commented saying that Harry Oaks, I've found lies. He's a liar. That was my opinion at the time. I personally still hold this opinion myself. And that's when she decided to make this live directed towards me the next day after that interaction on YouTube when I had commented on her YouTube video. And apparently between those days, Harry Oaks and her were messaging, and Harry Oaks is the one who told her, I'm his #1 stalker and I follow him from page to page, and all of this literal lies. It is a lie. I've never spoken or even heard of this man until that day in that group. But here to this day, that group still calls me a Harry Oaks stalker. I'm his #1 stalker, when all I've been trying to prove is that this man has, time and time again, with all this evidence here, lied. So if they don't want to believe me with the proof and they want to ban me because, like Samantha said, it doesn't go with their narrative and it makes them look bad, I don't know. But one can only speculate why they wouldn't want the truth about this person that they are saying is connected to Kyron Horman's case when he's not. He was never hired by the family. He was never brought on to search by anyone in the family, and clearly has some animosity about that. Why wouldn't they want to know this? Instead, they banned me and they didn't want to address it, and they still call me Harry Oaks' #1 stalker, which is not true.
Well, honey, they call me the leprechaun, so let them call us what they want to call us. You know what I mean? The live that they ended up doing, they went on and on and on and talked about Ward Weaver case. I don't personally know anything about it. Kaylia does. It was part of what Kaylia was trying to explain to them about this case, that it was untrue. She actually knows a member of, I believe, the family. And what she's going to do right now, we're going to get off the Kyron Horman thing for just a minute, because, like Lexi says, or the other group says, like, we're going to show receipts. We're going to show the information. We're going to debunk it. We're going to prove that Kaylia, the information that she has is the truth. And yeah, I mean, we're going to give a lot of focus real quick on this because it's important. It's important because we know this other group kicks people out as soon as the narrative is broken, as soon as you can prove that what they're doing or saying is wrong. They don't want you in the group. I've been kicked out of the group. I was an admin over there in that group. I am so thankful I was kicked out of that group. It gave me the opportunity to do this, which is do lives on YouTube and create, the Facebook group. So it was all a blessing to me. And I always say everything happens for a reason. The clip that you're going to see is talking about the Ward Weaver case. And Kaylee is going to explain this post that she has had for a while because she has her own, she has a little file that she has, and she's collected a lot of information on him. And because the other group was talking about the Ward Weaver thing and really went at her on that YouTube station about the Ward Weaver thing, we're just going to go over it. It can upset a few people because it's a little bit drama, but at the same time, let's let Kaylee stick up for herself. Gina says, okay, so now I know who the stalker is. They need to get over themselves. Exactly. Okay, I'm pausing now, Kaylee.
So this newspaper, the reason that this is significant to Harry Oakes is if you read his book or you read his posts about Ward Weaver's case, that he claims to have been the one to find the victims' bodies, Ashley Pond and Miranda Gaddis. I live in Oregon City where this happened. I went to the school that these girls attended. I know their mother. I know Lori Davis, Ashley Pond's mother. He claims in his book and several other places, the reason that we're starting here is he claims that he found a third body. So not only did he find Ashley Pond and Miranda Gaddis, but he just wanted to keep searching for some reason, and he found a third unidentified body. I don't know. He doesn't go into too much detail other than saying it was an unidentified Jane Doe. And if you read his book about it and his other posts about it, he describes it the same way that he described finding the child bone, that he picked it up and brought it to a orthopedic doctor who confirmed it was human and then brought it back to the police department to give them the evidence. Now, what really happened, that newspaper article that she just had up, is about really there was a third body that was found while searchers were searching for Ashley Pond and Miranda Gaddis. This body was found before Ashley Pond and Miranda Gaddis were found, and this person is still unidentified to this day. You can find them in the National Unidentified and Missing Person Index at namus.com. You can find this information. Now, because I live locally, I went to the police department. I asked them for this report on this third unidentified Jane Doe, and it lists the people that were there, and it describes exactly what happened that day because it's about a 50-page police report, and the person's still unidentified, so they're still investigating who could it be. What really happened is a group of volunteer searchers were searching down in the canyon behind Ward Weaver's house, and they came across a skull and bones. And do you think they picked that up and took it to an orthopedic doctor? No, they called the police and secured the crime scene. They didn't know if they just walked into all this evidence, and they didn't want to disrupt it. So they called 911, and several police officers hiked down the canyon, met them where they were, and secured the crime scene. And they determined fairly easily and quickly that this person was not Ashley Pond and Miranda Gaddis. Yet Harry Oakes in his book says quite literally, I believe this third unidentified person was a third victim of Ward Weaver or his son. He has no idea. I mean, how would he how does he go from A to Z in that way when he wasn't even the one to discover the body in reality? I've read the report myself. It lists the witnesses that were there, and Harry Oakes is not on that list. What's on the screen here, it looks like, yes, there we go. Yes, exactly. He says he found 2 femur bones in the canyon below highway. Yep, took them to the orthopedic doctor. Ward denied knowing anything about the third body. Police refused to release any information on whose remain it was. That's not true. You can go and find it on the National Unidentified Index. The remains located by Sar, Dog, Valerie, and Yogi during our searches have never been identified. That's a lie. As you can well have guessed by now, Oregon City Police Department and the FBI were extremely embarrassed after they recovered the 3 victims' remains. This proved we were 100% accurate and credible. Yeah, I verified that this is, again, is a lie. It's not true. And this is just one of the lies regarding his Ward Weaver contributions. Can you go to I don't know if you got the pictures of the house or, the backyard. So what Harry Oakes claims to have happened the day that he searched Ward Weaver's property is, and let me just start by saying, you can go and read at least 5 different variations of this story, including the book that creator was reading about on that live stream. That book has a completely different account than what Harry Oakes claims happened. So again, another variation of the story. But what Harry Oakes said happened is he brought his dogs in, and his dogs first alerted to this, or they did. He says that he went inside the house and he walked past the cooler and he wanted to open the cooler, and the Ward Weaver's son said, no, it's locked. But his dog gave a death alert to the cooler. And then he says his dog also gave a death alert in the hallway. And then he says he went out back where his dogs went to this cement slab right here. This cement slab that is closest to the house, that looks fresh, that was fresh poured cement. And sadly, tragically, Ashley Pond's body was buried underneath that cement slab. What Harry Oakes claimed to have happened is that his dog came to this cement slab, and what Harry Oakes' exact words are, where the cement slab met the grass, his dog was smelling it. Do you see anywhere where that cement slab meets the grass? Because I see a brand new cement slab, a path that goes to their door, and then I see gravel before a lot of long grass. So I don't see anywhere here where a cement slab meets grass like he claims. And then he claims he went to the shed where he said his dogs alerted to a death alert in the shed. However, in early versions of his story, he never mentions going in the shed. He says that he found Miranda's body in the cooler, and she was then after that put in the shed. Later versions of the story, he says he did search the shed, and that's where the alert was. So again, it is just tons of different stories. And not to mention, again, I've asked Ashley's mom myself, and I can show you her response. Just a moment.
Yeah, I have the message from you and her back and forth. And this is pretty much like Kaylee's receipt as far as like, she's trying to explain herself and talking to the other people in the group, letting them know, they're just not wanting anything to do with it. They banned her. They kicked her out. They didn't want to even hear the truth. And the only reason why we're going over this particular one is because of the way that she was kicked out after mentioning the word Weaver stuff, because Kaylee actually knows people in the family. You know, this was like a close to home kind of thing. So that is the reason why we're mentioning this. And again, you know, Kaylee brought her receipt. I am going to post it right now. And I'll go ahead and let you read what it says, huh?
I straight up asked her, is what Harry Oakes claiming, is that true? And her response to me is, it's a little blurry on my screen, so just a second, let me pull up the actual Messenger app. She says he did not find Ashley's and Miranda's body. He made the claim that he did. He wasn't even supposed to be on the property. Even the FBI said that he came to them and said his dog hit where the girls were, and it isn't true, not even close. He didn't even hit on where Miranda Gaddis was in the shed. He said it did, and he lied. I did not hire him, as he claims. He says Ashley Pond, mom, hired me. She says I did not hire him. He said he would go looking for free around our house. He caught me in a very vulnerable spot, but I did not hire him. Quite the contrary. He told us that he had been in the 9/11 attacks in New York. I don't even know if that's true. I would not give his story any credit whatsoever. He hit on my son's dad's Jeep, which Ashley lived with us and rode in the Jeep. And he tried to claim that James did it, which is bullpookie. I just also want to add, I have asked her as well, what's your opinion on the book? Do you agree with the book that Linda O'Neill wrote about this case? It's in the live that creator did, trying to prove me wrong. I came back and said, this is misinformation, and she just didn't want to hear it. But from Ashley's
And
own,
isn't that person her aunt? Didn't you say that was like the aunt of one of these girls?
Linda was actually, I think she was married to a man that was once married to Ashley's grandma. So they weren't closely related. They weren't in each other's life every day. Yes, they did know each other, like, as a distant, just like you would know somebody's ex, like your uncle's ex or something like that. That's kind of how it was. He was the ex of a grandma who remarried another woman, and now she's over here claiming some close relationship to Ashley. And I asked Lori about the book, and she said, you can buy it to read it for a good laugh. It's a long story. I know the person who wrote the book. It wasn't Linda O'Neill. She wasn't even hired as a private investigator on our case. She claimed to be, but she wasn't. So it starts out with a lie right there. I own this book myself. I read it clean through and through, and I sat down with the FBI and discussed it. We all had a good laugh. That's what she said to me about the book. So I, again, have asked the family multiple times, and they have confirmed to me that what he is saying is not true. And I tend to believe them, in addition to the variations in stories that I've found, all the different variations he's told over these years.
Okay. So I just want to make something clear though. So on the live that the other group does, they speak about a person writing a book, and I believe they call her the aunt wrote a book. Is this the same person that we're talking about? The same book, I mean?
Yes. Yes, they couldn't even get the information right. That's how little they knew, and they still were spatting in my face saying I was the one who was wrong, and then had the audacity to say I was a stalker. So it just makes me laugh, but I'm glad we're able to clear it up tonight, and I can defend myself and prove that what I was saying was true. I came with receipts.
Yeah, I can't stand to hear receipts anymore. I hate receipts. It's proof. It's I don't know. It's verifiable information. Shit, something. Like I watched part of the live. I couldn't even finish it. The way she was attacking you upset me. I've been attacked the same way, and it's just BS the way that they come at some people. but I'm glad that we could come on here and just talk about it all, because the fact of the matter is, whether it's the Ward Weaver case or the Kyron case, you can't be out there spreading misinformation about missing people. You just can't do it. You shouldn't be doing it. And back to the Kyron case, there was just so much misinformation. And anybody that knows the Kyron Horman case didn't even need me to verify anything, showing anything, because they already knew the majority of that stuff was a lie. I mean, just flat out lies. Dede failing a polygraph. Terri never knowing anybody up at the school, talking to parents or teachers. The red Mustang, the cooler, the glasses. I mean, maybe, like I said earlier, law enforcement knows something that we don't, but I'm not believing it. I'm not buying it. I know you're not buying it. We have some comments here. Let's see. Again, I'll just let everybody know, like, all of this information, anytime we do a live and we have, our proof and our verifiable information, we post it on our Facebook group, Kyron Horman Case Revisited, Discussions and Case Studies. Gina's saying awesome. People are saying, oh, good, I don't have to worry about a bunch of screenshots. No, because we'll read them to you here on our lives when we're doing lives about our information, or you can go over to the Facebook group and read the screenshots or read the information that we have. Death by Chocolate. Is he self-published? I have to ask my husband to check out his work. Kaylee, do you know, is he self?
I'm not sure. I didn't look into that. I don't think so. It did look like they had an official publishing company, but I don't know if it was their own publishing company like some do. I don't know.
Well, I'm sorry that all of that happened to you. But yeah, I just, we're here for Kyron, and when there's misinformation, we're going to say something. I just thought it was kind of odd that we've got people out there right now that are already spreading misinformation, using another person that's spreading misinformation, and yet not talking about the fact that the person that they're using in this Kyron Horman case also believes that Terri is guilty of murdering Kyron and leaving him in Forest Park. It is ridiculous. Thank you, Death by Chocolate. We really do try to do, we try to bring our proof. I'm sorry that we were having some technical difficulties. I am definitely going to invest in my own headset. All the lives that I have ever done, besides our last one, I've done by myself. And that's the reason I've never ran into this issue. I know when I rewatched our last live, I was hearing a little bit of an echo, but I think tonight's live may have been a little bit worse. Death by Chocolate, we appreciate you both. And yes, we appreciate all of you guys for being here. I mean, without you guys, we wouldn't have our live shows. We wouldn't have people watching. We wouldn't have people to talk to and discuss with over on our Facebook group. I'm just so thankful to have everyone. I'm really glad that me and Kaylee get along great and that we do good lives together, because it's been really awesome doing lives with her. And I'll just give you a minute to speak, Kaylee, and then we'll wrap stuff up.
Thank you for inviting me on the live again and throwing everything together. Again, you're so impressive with how you can get things done so quickly. And I appreciate everybody coming to the live with an open mind, because I know that because of the mass amount of misinformation that Harry Oakes puts out, it's hard to believe what I'm saying. But I hope with the proof we've provided, you have an open mind to that fact that what he's saying might not be all true, and you should look to the bottom of it yourself and not take somebody's word for it without looking for that, verifying it yourself. And I think this was a super important live because, again, as I was searching on YouTube for news clips, I came across another live that linked Terri Oaks to Kyron Horman. Or, you know, the title was, "How is Kyron Horman oddly linked to Ward Weaver's case?" And it was because of Terri Oaks. And that is just because of creators like this other group that don't do their own fact checking and don't get to the bottom of things themselves. I know that in our Facebook group, we value factual information. We value the truth, and we value getting to the bottom of things and providing proof. And if we aren't sure if it's a theory, we're going to say that. And I just appreciate everybody coming to the live with an open mind, because I'm going to be honest, they've been calling me a stalker for a long time, and I haven't addressed it. I haven't defended myself. And that's because I knew that there were people in our group that might be offended by me saying this kind of stuff about Terri Oaks. I know he has a lot of fans. He's done a lot of good things, but again, look to the bottom of things. Make sure what you're reading is truthful. And I mean, we only showed you 2 examples. If you want more, please message me, because I have ample more evidence.
Gina here. I'd like to get a background check on this wannabe, on both him and whatever her name may be. Loved you gals from day one for all the insight and insight you provide. Thank you so much. Critical thinker here. Appreciate all you do. We're critical thinkers too. You know, and like Kaylee is saying, like, you start searching things on the internet about Kyron, and this and this and this and this is going to pop up, or whatever case you may be investigating, or whatever it is that you're looking up on the internet. You know, lots of multiple things come up. And number one, you always have to make sure that the information you're looking at is correct, that it's not coming from a place, you know, that's just talking rumor, or maybe that they're speculating or whatever. Just make sure you know what you're reading. But you're out there, you're searching up Kyron, and then say Terri Oaks Facebook post pops up. I see Facebook stuff that pops up all the time from my group, from other groups, from other people, if they're talking about a certain subject. So if that pops up, and within the first paragraph of his Facebook post, before Terri took Kyron to school, the week Kyron disappeared, she never ever talked to anyone, not the teachers nor the parents. I mean, it starts off with a bunch of BS, a bunch of misinformation. And we already just have so much misinformation. So we're just clearing things up. We're going to get a lot of backlash for this live. I know we are. It's whatever. I don't care. Kaylee, I don't care. It's probably going to be from Terri Oaks and the other group, and it can be what it is. So yeah, I appreciate you guys for being here. I know it was a long live, and I know some of it didn't all have to do with Kyron Horman, but it was an important live, especially for Kaylee, because she's my partner. And with rumors and people talking about her, this needed to be cleared up so that when I have her on here, you know, all of our members believe her and they can go, oh, okay, now we understand what's going on, because the majority of you guys already know what we deal with the other groups. So yeah, it is what it is. Kaylee, do you have anything else to say? Because if not, then I'm just going to go ahead and say bye.
I'm right there with you. It's almost my bedtime.
All right, everyone. So thanks for joining us. Again, my name is Samantha. My partner here is Kaylee. We're from Kyron Horman Case Revisited here on the YouTube channel. You can join us over on our Facebook, Kyron Horman Case Revisited, discussions and case studies. If you have any tips, please call them in. The number for the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office tip line is 503-988-0560. Again, that telephone number is 503-988-0560. No tip is ever too small. The investigator on Kyron's case is absolutely amazing. You can call and talk to Detective Tabor. You don't have to worry about him being rude. He's just not that kind of person. Death by chocolate. Stay strong. We are all here for you. Good night. Good night, everyone. Gina, glad I could catch it. Yes, we're glad you could catch it too. We're so glad that everybody's here. And, you know, we will see you over on the Facebook group for discussions, and we will start posting this information over there on our Facebook. You can also catch this information in, in the community here. Some people don't know about it. So in YouTube, when you go to my channel or our channel here and you click on it, there is a list. It says like live, it says videos. And if you keep scrolling to the side, there's a part that says communities. Well, if you click on community, you will see I post in that community section. A few people already know that, but I post in that community quite often. So if you're not on Facebook, you can always catch things over in the community. Be a part of that, talk about it, get on there and message too. All of it brings in, you know, awareness. Also, don't forget to click the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications, because if you didn't see this on Facebook, you would have got a notification letting you know that we were going live. And even if you don't watch another live or watch another video, just clicking the subscribe button helps bring awareness. You know, there's the algorithm or whatever it is. And the more subscribers that we have on the channel, you know, the more popular it gets, the more people that see it. I'm not out there for a popularity contest, but the awareness to Kyron is very important. So subscribe, click the bell for notifications if you want to be notified. We have a lot of new stuff going on. We have our new early news. Gosh, I can't even think after this live. We have a playlist of Terri Horman's timeline. We have a playlist of the book Boy Missing. We're on chapter 49. And then the early news collection is our new thing. It's a bunch of news clips that we're finding, bringing a lot of new information forward. I can't believe some of the new information that we've been finding on these news clips. So we made a series called Early News Collection. And of course, you know, I have the Terry's a liar. And we use her own words against her. So if you go over there and you watch those videos, you will literally see her saying one thing and her saying another, and we prove it. We show the proof. So good night, everyone. Thank you for joining. And I love you guys. Say a prayer for Kyron. Say a prayer for Kyron's parents. They're living their everyday life and they're living a nightmare. So please send your prayers out to the family and for Kyron.